Hey everyone, it's Jake Clark and John Schneider from Fargo 3D Printing, episode 9 or 10, somewhere in there. Nine. Episode 9. It's off. Next episode will be 10. So today, we had 3D Printing Week last week, so we had a bunch of different things going on. We had, what did we start out with? We had
the first night we went to the Fargo Public Library and had a 3D printing meetup. So that was pretty cool. We had some of our machines there. Had a lot of people that came to check it out just to see, what 3D printing is all about, see the machines in action. And we had one person who brought in a Delta printer. Yep. So if you're not familiar with what a Delta printer is, after watching this, definitely type in Delta printer on YouTube and you'll be able to find a really good example. Think of it like instead of having just an X and Y axis and then your Z axis, which goes up and down, you have 3 arms that come down and they together control where the print head goes. So it's really cool. It's good for doing very fast prints because it's able to move very quickly and very accurately. It's a little more finicky to control, but runs really well.
They're fun to watch too. I mean, they work a little bit differently than your conventional ones because on your conventional one, like let's say a MakerBot Rep 2, for instance, you have the belts going forward and side to side. This one actually has them running up and down the rails versus any sort of linear action. It's more vertical and horizontal. That's what I meant. But I mean, they're really fun to watch. We actually had one of your friends actually build a 3-foot one wide or something like that. Wasn't it like 3 feet high? And
so that was Owen. He didn't have his printer at the meetup, but the Delta printer that he made is pretty impressive. I think if it was sitting here on the table, it would end up being
you couldn't see the top.
Probably about this tall. Yeah, so I don't think that's in frame at all. But it gives you an idea. I think it had an 18-inch in diameter build plate. I mean, this thing is pretty nuts. I didn't have a chance to see it operating. He was still building it last time I saw it. But that thing, when it's running, is going to be pretty insane.
Yeah, maybe we can cover some of that when he gets everything working.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping so.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that was Monday.
Yeah, that was Monday night, so we had a good turnout there. We had our lulls bot there. So we got Ninja Flex, showed off some Ninja Flex stuff. So this is a vase, however you want to say it. And Ninja Flex, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah, you know what's fun?
What?
Right by the mic. That's going to sound awesome.
That's no
So, but I mean, it's really cool. The Ninja Flex is extremely capable. I still can't get over how well stuff just bonds to itself. Yeah. Yeah, see, look at that. Superman can't tear that, so.
No, you can't. You really can't. There's like, you try.
No, I'm going to leave it right there.
I mean, don't do the red one. No.
So, Ninja Flex is very cool. If you haven't gotten that point already, I hope that got the point across. Ninja Flex is pretty cool. So then the second night, that was
education.
So that was education. So NDSU, in their architecture department, they have, in Renaissance Hall, they have a bot farm that has 6 MakerBot Replicator 2s. Yep. And then their art department has, they started out with... Visual Arts. Okay.
Visual Arts has 1.
They started out with 1 Replicator 2. Now I think they're at 3 Replicator 2s. So they've been kind of all in on 3D printing for a while, especially in the architecture program. They just understand, hey, this has some pretty serious implications for education. And it's interesting seeing how the architecture firms in town are starting to respond to this now that they're starting to hire the recent graduates from NDSU, now that they have these 3D printing skills.
That background.
Exactly.
And the application, because that's one thing is, they see that they need to use it or they see that they want to use it, but they don't understand how to use it or what the best application is for it. So with these new students coming in, they're like, oh, yeah, we could do this, and this, and this is how easy it is. Because some people think that, oh, it's this long, big process. Well, you've already done the legwork on the model. Yeah. Now it's just getting it to print, which is more the easier part. Actually, it is the easier part.
Right. Yeah, and it's really interesting to see how having 3D printing as a skill on your resume makes you a more attractive hire. Because it's something that they're going to need to, when I say they, I'm referring to the architecture firm, something that they're going to need to know how to do eventually anyway. And now that they're able to hire that talent or hire that skill instead of having to train existing people to know how to do it, it just makes 3D printing that much more of a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, definitely. And they've been on the ground floor of 3D printing since about 3 years ago. they've been kind of right when the Rep 2 kind of came out is when they started adopting it. So they've been working with it for the last 3 years, and like I said, they've been on the ground floor. It's been awesome to see how many, because I think they started out with like 2 or 3, and then they've grown it to 6 plus the other 3 in the visual arts, and with plans I think to expand even more in the coming years, maybe some bigger machines, some different technologies, but really to see what those students run with the technology is going to be the most interesting thing.
Right. So we saw how NDSU is using that. We also talked a little bit about there's a program that is called Future Engineers. So this is something that Made in Space put together. Now, you might remember Made in Space is the company that has put a 3D printer in space. At least as of this recording, it's up in the International Space Station right now. It still hasn't been set up, still hasn't been tested there. They're still getting everything unloaded from the cargo capsule that went up there. But this is Future Engineers. So it's a design competition for K through 12 students where they're supposed to design a space tool for astronauts, and the best tool that can be 3D printed in space. I forget what the student ends up winning, but definitely hit up futureengineers.org to learn more information about that. So, and then that was Tuesday. Wednesday, we had an event that was aimed more at engineers.
Yep.
So engineers in manufacturing, that was held at NDSU's Technology Incubator.
Yep.
So we had a very focused turnout for that. There were a couple of engineering students that showed up, some other people that are interested more in the design side of things, and just talked about some of the applications in manufacturing and engineering.
Yeah, talk more of the commercial production machines, how those are used, how they can be used in jig and fixtures, of doing different things. So if you're not familiar with jig and fixtures, sorry, I'm sick this week, but it's something that can hold the product. So if you're making, let's say, this vase, for instance, and you wanted to hold it at a specific spot so you can drill a hole at a specific angle, what this jig would do is it actually conform to the part, and you'd set it in there and then hold it. You could drill, unclamp it, pull it out. That's what a jig is, or a fixture is one of the two. So the best example is in woodworking. If you're trying to drill, so if you cut the corners of a miter and then you're trying to join those two faces together, they have that little jig that you set on the corner. It lines up the corners and it lets you put the 2 holes for the screws to go in. Mm-hmm. That's the best example that I can really give. That's a jig. So you could 3D print that if you wanted to.
Right. So that was Wednesday, and then Thursday we had the open house here at the office. So had a nice turnout for that. People were able to see all the printers up and running. I think we have, 10?
We have 4 MakerBot Rep 2s. We have a Mini. We have a 5th Gen. We have a Lulzbot Mini, Z18, and a Cube Pro. So 10 machines.
Yeah, so 10 machines all up and running. So it was quite a sight to see everything printing at the same time. Some people still, some of the people that came to the open house hadn't seen 3D printing yet, so seeing not just one 3D printer, but that many printers all working at the same time. Well, and in different materials too. So we had printers printing in ABS, PLA, and of course our favorite Ninja Flex. So it was fun. It was just a really good week dedicated to 3D printing. And then if there are people in the Fargo area, we're starting it's going to be a monthly meetup. So we're having our first one in January, so that's not for a while yet, but if you go to meetup.com and type in Fargo 3D Printing, you can find information on that next meetup. We're going to be doing that because Jake and I will be just getting back from CES.
Yes.
So we'll have had
Very
up close.
exciting.
We'll have had up close and very intimate looks at the 3D printers. So we've looked at 3D printers at CES before, but it's always been through the lens of someone else. So someone who's maybe not in the 3D printing industry, they're just in the technology industry and they're doing just coverage on 3D printing. We want to, sometimes we think, if you just would have gotten a better look at this angle.
Other angle.
It's like, why are you looking at that spot? And actually talking to the reps and seeing, okay, I know you guys are saying it's going to be ready at this time. When's it really going to be ready?
Yeah.
Just having that kind of stuff.
See it run. That's what we're probably going to have an hour-long podcast just talking about what we've seen at CES because there's so many things.
And
3D printing is just one part of it. That's where we're going to be. I think it's a week long, and we're going to be spending the entire week there. And I'm just really excited because it'll be the second time I've been to Vegas in a long time. But that finished out 3D printing week and the meetup. Did you say when it was again?
Right now it's scheduled for January 15th, okay. So that's really when we're planning on having it, but just in case something does start changing a little bit, just check out meetup.com for more concrete information. If the date gets updated, that's where it's going to be announced first.
Yeah, and if you guys are out there in your community and you want, to do a meetup thing, it's great because it gets a lot of people interested in the same topic together, and you can kind of all nerd out at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and you realize that, there's this person using 3D printing for this application, or you think of an idea of how 3D printing can be used, or you start projects, you start companies. That's actually how John and I met, was at one of our 3D printing events that we were a part of. So it's a really fun thing for your community. If you're thinking about doing it, I would advise to do it. It's not very expensive to set up a meetup.com and go with it. It's just it's really fun. So that's what I got.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening to us this week.
I got nothing else.
And our Ninja Flex sounds. So, we talked a little bit about this before. So this is...
Do you want me to talk a little bit about it? So, back was a month ago now, we released our own brand of filament. We're actually going to be manufacturing this with one of our sister companies. It's called 3DOM USA. It's like I said, it's its own product. We have filament samples. Go to 3DOMUSA.com. Request your filament sample. It's free. We'll ship it out to you. There's a Thingiverse thing on the top here that this spool will actually print, and it's actually a little bracket. I don't know if we have one. We'll try and get it on the next podcast. But and it'll show the different angles. It'll actually have a circle in it, and it'll actually have a good adhesion, so you can see how that works. The great thing about this is, and kind of the big deal about this, is what's on the bottom here. It's called the NGO. What NGO is it's kind of the cream of the crop of the biopolymers world. If you say you're using NGO biopolymers, it means that you're using the best biopolymers out there on the market. Sustainable, it's well manufactured, just very specific tolerances. And we'll have more information on NGO on our website. We are the first manufacturer in the world for 3D printer filament that gets to use the NGO branding. And when I say we get to use it, is NatureWorks, the parent company, doesn't hand this out to anybody. You got to earn it, and we've earned it. So that's exciting to have that behind us. It'll be releasing sometime in quarter 1 of next year is when we're shooting for that. So like I said, look on the website. Here in the next couple months, we'll actually get some color up there so that you guys can actually see what colors we'll be offering. You can see what colors you want to buy. Right now we have black and white as far as our filament samples. It's kind of a crapshoot of what you're going to get, but it's going to be kind of exciting to see that come out here in quarter 1. So, but that's what I got.
Yeah, that's all I have for this week. So on behalf of Jake and I, thanks again for listening to us, and if you're on YouTube, for watching us. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and definitely check out our Instagram account too. So Fargo 3D Printing. Thanks again.
Thanks.
It's a crapshoot.
It's a crapshoot.
Oh man.
Was I not supposed to say that?
We literally just unboxed this thing today, so we've had maybe a grand total of an hour's worth of hands-on time, including setting it up. So we've already gotten our first test print off.